Hey everybody, welcome to I've Been There, Brother, the show about the common struggles we all face, we don't discuss, and how they can actually bring us together. That fellow over there, his name's William. This guy, I'm Keith. We're glad that you're here. What's up, dude?
How are we doing this morning?
Sick. So
Yeah,
I will
same.
apologize to everybody in advance that I'm going to be sniffling and coughing, and in this episode there's going to be a lot of, they're going to be like, oh, what did they just cut out? They're going to hear us cutting out us coughing.
Perfect. I'll be blowing my nose constantly, so.
We were in that meeting the other day, and I thought of you, and I thought, I want to ask William about this, but I don't want to bring up taking a shit 2 weeks in a row, but I'm going to do it anyway. William, when's the last time you shit your pants as an adult?
As an adult, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. Frankly.
I love the honesty.
Gosh, I think there's times where I think I can hold it longer than I can, and that ends up not occurring. And I might trust a fart. and that is not the case. The worst time, not the worst, but there was a moment. My wife grew up in Illinois, and we were driving down there one time, and we were cruising down the road, and I'm the kind of person that will drive as long as possible.
Yeah.
And I really had to go, but she had fallen asleep, and the kids are asleep, and so I'm just like, I can go as long as possible here. Let's hold it. And I trusted a fart. And
did you shit your pants in the car?
As we were driving, in my favorite gray sweatpants. So gray sweatpants, nonetheless. And I immediately, I wait about maybe 30 seconds, and I'm thinking that's still there. And so I wake her up, and I say, I gotta go to the bathroom. We gotta stop. And she goes, okay. And pulling off, and I said, Liz, I'm pretty sure I shit my pants. She's like, what? I'm pretty sure I did. And so I get out of the vehicle, and I said, I'm going to turn around, and I just want you to tell me if you can tell that I did, because if so, I'm going to wear like a jacket or something. And I turn around, she goes, oh, yeah, I could tell. So, of course, I have a jacket around my hip, and I go in, and I come back with just my shorts on. Because I brought a pair of shorts in, and she goes, where's your stuff? I said, I'm not keeping that. Like, I just threw it in the trash. I'm not keeping that. And she goes, those are your favorite sweatpants. I'm like, not anymore. They're not.
Not anymore. Oh, dude, one second. Dude, that's hilarious. It makes me think of, first of all, I've been there, brother. I think I've shit my pants probably as an adult. I don't know, once every 2 years.
Mine feels more frequent than that.
Something happens. I'm sick, or I eat something that doesn't agree with me, and I do a quick knee-jerk movement, and that's all she wrote.
Yep.
I had a friend who was living in Atlanta at the time. I'm taking all these pauses because it's so hard not to say his name, but I want to protect his privacy. He was driving home from work. He got stuck in Atlanta traffic, and he's like, as he tells the story, he goes, my belly started rumbling and my head was sweating. And he's like, I'm gonna throw up. And he's trying to get over in terrible rush hour Atlanta traffic in construction, and he gets to the exit, and he pulls over against one of those Jersey barriers, and he opens his door, but it won't open all the way. So he throws up, and it goes into the cup holder and the side panel of the door. And at the same time, he diarrhea shit his pants. And so he's throwing up and pooping all over himself, stuck in traffic, and has to drive home.
That is brutal.
Poor guy. Good dude, though.
Oh, man. I got just really quickly one more story. I got a buddy that he He told me a story when he was in high school. So this was a while ago now, but he had devoured almost a box to himself of the Fiber One bars
Uh-oh.
because they tasted so good. Lo and behold, he's on his way home at like 10 o'clock at night on his biking home across town, and he's like, "Oh no, this is not good." Like you can tell it's coming, and his stomach is rumbling just the same. And he goes, "I was in front of the church. I was in front of the church, and I just stopped, stood on my bikes, and just let her rip down his legs, down onto
Oh,
the everywhere." And he's like, "And I had to bike home like that." And I'm like, "Oh, just right in front of the church." He goes, "Yeah, I had nowhere to go. I couldn't go. It was instant." So I'm like, "Oh, guess when you
all
gotta
right.
go, you gotta go." Did
Well,
I tell you when I ran on? Oh yeah, that was what I said on the call.
that's you talked about in the call that you almost didn't make it home, and that's what made me think I'm going to ask William how often that happens.
Oh, come on, people poop themselves all the time.
We just don't talk about it. That's what the show's about. So, the last few podcasts we've been talking about our families, well, our family, like our upbringing, right, and some
Hmm.
things that we've been through, and it made me start thinking about my dad. And I didn't live with my biological father; never really knew him, and then had some loss in my life, right, from my grandfather who did help raise me, and now I have 3 kids, and it made me think about being a dad and kind of the weights and responsibilities that come with that. And I don't know what I have to say, but I think I have a lot to say, and I think that you do too. And it was really hard being a dad.
I think a lot of our listeners feel the same, especially off of kind of what I've received from some listeners. I think it's very interesting how, again, we say relatable a lot of our discussion is, but as a father, I know a lot
Yeah,
of our listeners are fathers. And I mean, there's a lot of struggle that comes with that.
yeah. What was your relationship like with your dad?
It was good. My dad was awesome. I'm fortunate for that. He was also very hard, um, held a high standard,
Hmm.
very disciplined, very work ethic driven, which is amazing. Um, you know, uh, there was great memories. There was ones that are just ingrained in my brain of things
Yeah,
like fight or flight moments that forced a flight or a fight in a way.
yeah.
And many times for him, it's like you need to be actionable. And so, like, a lot of what my memories are just taking action.
I don't to make this episode I think flow a little better. I'm gonna call. So I was raised by my grandparents. In case someone didn't remember that from previous episodes. So who I call my dad, right, is my grandfather. I'm gonna call him Gene in this to make that make sense. And then my biological father, who I did not live with, his name was Michael. So I'm going to say Gene and Michael throughout this. I think I had a good relationship with Gene, but he died whenever, he's diagnosed with cancer whenever I was 13. He passed away when I was 14. I didn't live with Michael. So, well, I don't know, to say I had a great relationship, I don't know if I knew what being a father looked like really past the age of 13, 14.
That's tough.
Yeah.
What would you
You know,
consider then if you don't talk about Gene and Michael? Is there someone in your life that maybe a friend's parent, father?
I was thinking
I would
about that.
assume someone took that.
I think it's been, I don't know. There's all kinds of subconscious shit that I don't know that has made me who I am.
Mm.
I think that, I got a job when I was 15 working in a bike shop because I just hung out there whenever I was 14 years old. And as I say that out loud, that was the year Gene died. So maybe that was, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, and that was my dream, and that was Gene's dream for me. And we invested a lot of time and effort into that. And whenever he passed away, I tried to do that for like a year, not even a year, maybe a year, and it didn't. that didn't pan out. That's when I started riding bikes. It became my thing. I didn't have to, because playing baseball wasn't the same without him. And so I started hanging out at the bike shop, and they ended up I turned 15, and they said, you should work here because you're here 8 hours a day anyway. And that, the owner, his name's Ed, he, you don't realize it in the time, but you look back and you go, that played a huge, huge part in my life. And I can think of other people throughout the years, but probably,
Yeah.
I think was that first father figure. Yeah.
That's cool that you had something like that at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure
So
he
there was,
probably viewed it that way too. I would assume he did. Viewed it as like, hey, kind of take you under his wing in a way.
yeah. Yeah. I think he did. He got better as the years went on. Whenever I started, so I was 15 and he was 28,
Mm.
being a dad at 28 is rough. How
It
old
all
were
depends
you?
on you.
Yeah, well, how old were you whenever you had your first? You have 3 kids, 3
Yep.
boys. Yep.
Yep.
How old were you whenever the first was born?
26.
26.
Yeah, I think. Let me do the math. Yeah, 26 because I'm 34.
Okay.
Which I
They're all
come
young.
from, like with my parents, something that my dad especially talked about, like when he and my mother got married. I mean, they were younger as well, and
Hmm.
I have 3 siblings, and very much in his mind is you're never ready, you never have enough money, and it's like
Yeah.
I want to share my life with people while I can, while my health is somewhat good, and all of that, and I think he really like family was massive for him. Um, People and staying in a close group, like it was always protect your siblings, take care of each other. It was very much driven by that,
Mm.
like that family, uh, that aspect of protection, and uh, something that he always was big on is I want to be young when I have grandchildren. He talked about that often because he wanted to enjoy that as well,
Yeah.
which he did for a lot of us. Liam, he got to meet Liam. He met my other sister's older kids as well, and so he got to enjoy a lot of that. And he was just like my mother. I mean, they're great grandparents, but that was like his. As soon as he was a grandpa, it was a different world. Like
Yeah.
because like I said, he was hard, and maybe it was hard because I was his only son and there was expectation. I don't know. I know he was difficult with some of my sisters, held them to a high standard, but at the same time, he was just a really caring father for my sisters. So
Mm. That must have been badass.
yeah, yeah, it was. Um, I was very fortunate to the point where I mentioned this previously, but when I left for the 2 years and we went to California, it was really, I think, difficult. It was difficult on our relationship
Hmm.
because we
That's
were
right. Because
really close.
you left the family business. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were really close. Kind of fell off a little bit, and then shoot, a couple of weeks after living in California, being away from home, I started calling him every morning on the way to work, and then
Hmm.
that was a thing we did every morning. And he hated being interrupted at work. I shouldn't say hated. He was not a fan of being interrupted constantly at work. And it became a normal thing that that'd be the first thing I'd do because when I would go to work, it would be 7, 8 o'clock
Yeah.
here. And I mean, it was just very normal. And sometimes we'd sit on the phone and there wouldn't be a lot said. It would be like just that we're like together kind of thing, which I was very fortunate to have that. Um, yeah, yeah, he was my best friend.
How how old were your kids whenever he passed away?
Would have been only 7 months old, 6 months old, not even.
Yeah.
And then the rest weren't born.
I think what I miss about I miss a lot of things, but there's been certain points in my life where I wish that my dad was available for me to call and ask a question. Like whenever you have your kid or you get married, you're thinking about getting married, or I don't know, insert, the toilet broke and I don't know how to fix that. Life
Yeah.
event here, you want to talk to your dad. That's been that has been a struggle.
And I don't know if you do this, but because I did have a relationship, there are times when I'm around my house, and if there's something going on, and
Yeah.
much like you're saying, where I'd want to call him, I I'll start talking like, what would my dad do? What would you have
Yeah.
done here? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You know, and you get older too, and you start learning about your folks, and maybe some things that whenever you're 10 years old, you don't pick up on their behaviors. You know,
Mm,
and I think there's probably I couldn't even tell you what it is, but I know there's things I know why I curse all the time. I curse all the time because of Gene. He cursed like a sailor, and I keep it clean on this show. And we still have to mark it explicit. So, you know, I know that I got that from him. And unfortunately for Michael, I've spent a lot of my adult life thinking about my very limited interactions with him and not wanting to be like him. I've spent a
mm,
lot of my adult life not wanting to be like him, yet he never said anything mean to me, but he would. I don't know him, so you know, man, I have all these feelings on how I feel, but
yeah.
it's scary to say them because you put that out and it feels like you're casting judgment on someone, and he has passed away, so he can't defend himself. And I understand that there's two sides to every story, but as a young kid, it felt like a birthday card dad. I
Mm,
heard from him on my birthdays. Surely I heard from him, right? The other times, but I don't really remember them. I remember I got caught drinking whenever I was 16. I went to a fifth quarter. After a high school football game, they had the fifth quarter dance at a church. I got drunk and went, got busted. Because when you don't go to the game, William, you don't know what time the game ended, so you may show up at this dance a little early. So it was a dead giveaway. So whenever I got busted and the cops sent me home, you know, via my mom, she, you know, Michael was there on the phone. And so I've spent a lot of time. And as I've aged, I'm divorced. My kids live in a different state. I've had this fear of, am I becoming him? Because he was divorced. His kids lived in different states. And I've been divorced for 7 or 8 years. Man, I have put so much effort. I'm looking at a picture of my kids right here on this other screen. I put so much effort into trying to be the best dad possible and travel there. And what I've really struggled with the last 3 years is, why didn't he do that for me?
mm,
And that's the part where you go, I don't like, I'm sure he had reasons.
yeah.
But as I try to not have any reasons to not see my kids, I go, fuck your reasons.
Yep. I mean, even nowadays, we're lucky we have certain things. I'm assuming, I don't know how old your kids are. How old are your kids?
So the oldest is 15. She'll be 16 this summer. And then middle is 13. Youngest is 9. He'll be 10 in a couple months.
I mean, I would assume they have some sort of mobile device at this point. You know,
They
like
do.
we have an ability now where it's not you're calling a landline, you're calling an actual device that they could have. So that might be helpful.
That
But
they occasionally answer. Yeah.
yeah, occasionally. But even a
Yeah.
text message, thinking about them, I think about that now where I I call people because I like like the verbal side, like we mentioned.
Yeah.
But you know, even a thought just to shoot a message for people sometimes goes so far. You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going through something, and all of a sudden, nope, here's
Yeah.
dad text. You know,
But you know
that kind of
what?
stuff.
Whenever I was a kid, it wasn't the fucking 1800s. I'm older than you, William, but I'm not that much older. There was a phone. He could have called.
The landline. I mean, you're not always there. This is true. He could have called. They could have left a
Could have
voicemail.
called a little bit more. I also wonder how much I just don't remember.
Yeah.
I think the mind has an amazing way of blocking things out.
Mm,
I don't want to make this about my dad, but it plays into this fear of, am I being a good dad? Because I've seen what other people have done that look good, you know, and I'm observant, and society teaches you what
yeah.
society teaches you about being a dad. And I just have this big fear of becoming my dad. and not in a good way.
Yeah.
Or having my kids feel how I feel now. Maybe that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, it is kind of tough for me because, you know, during a lot of my grief after my dad passed away, I wasn't a good dad. I had good moments, there's no doubt, but I wasn't mentally being a good person, period. And now I will say the last like year has been fantastic. I've been intentional. I've learned a lot of how to communicate, and I then go back to there was nights when like when we were all together, like whether it's Liz and the boys, and like during my grief, and I talked about my alcohol and all of that, or just even my anger, and I can just like quickly like an image in my mind see my kids as fear, and it's like I being a dad of anger like that, and also being not in control of myself.
Is that how you feel you weren't maybe a great you said a few times that you weren't a great dad.
Correct. Yep,
You,
I was not a
you
good example. I didn't.
quick to anger, absent, like
Mhm.
what'd you do wrong?
Absent personally, absent emotionally, just short-tempered, and created a fight or flight, and it was always a flight. It was never how to handle a situation. I forced how to handle a situation, and it was
Yeah.
never a good one, and I'm not trying to make up for that now. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
improve what I'm doing moving forward. Like, and I still lose my temper, but I'm much quicker to pause, to yield, and to apologize and recognize where my faults are. And I can tell with my kids how they're responding already, how, let's say in the last year, how our adjustments have been with our relationship between each other. There's been a lot more compassion and a lot more understanding to each other, which has taken a lot of time and
Yeah.
a lot of understanding how much I was still not dealing with.
How much of your shit do you put on your kids? Because you go, I want to teach them about the
Yeah.
mistakes that I've made. And at the same time, I don't want to put all of my baggage on them, but I want
Too
them to learn
much,
from it.
probably. My dad did that a lot,
Did
where
he?
he would, create like he'd let me fall, but at the same time, he'd try to control. Like I've done this, listen, listen, listen. Um, my dad was, oh, shoot, I don't know off the top of my head now, 30 some plus years sober. At 17, he was considered an alcoholic because he had gone into juvenile rehab at 13, adult rehab at 17 as a second stint. And from that point on, he was sober. And that was a big part of his identity. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of that, he was fearful of that happening to his children, um, which it did after he died. I mean, I was very much, that was a problem for me. And yeah,
Did your
so
dad struggle with his weight like you did?
briefly, towards like during a lot of the stressful, I shouldn't say stressful, but like a moment of just chaos and comfort at the same time. Once in his businesses, when took on more and more, kind of got a little heavier, and then he started taking care of himself. The last like
Mm-hmm.
7 years of his life, he was very diligent about what he ate, what he did,
Yeah, because
working
he
out.
turned into a runner. Yeah.
Kind of. He just something he
Well,
did
he
every
ran.
day. Yep, yep. Something he did
Yeah.
every day was started off as walking, and then eventually turned into jogging, and had a routine that he did all the time, and started lifting weights towards the end. Um, And so, yeah, he just really started taking, the biggest thing was that he changed his diet, stopped eating terribly. My mom started really catering a lot of meals to that. And um, yeah, we just really started taking care of what he did. He always carried in, I don't have my wallet on me. I have it still. My mom gave it to me as a gift, and I carry it. It is a little post-it note that he's got, um, that says 105 years old and then 180 pounds, because he wanted to weigh and stay a healthy weight for him. And then 105 because he ran into him and my uncle were on a motorcycle trip and ran into an old man that was still pumping gas at a self pump station that was 105 years old. And he had
Oh
stories for
wow.
days. And he's like, you know what? I can do that. I'm going to live till I'm 105 and live till he's 52.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd be, if he could see me now, man, the stories we'd probably talk about, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have gotten to the point that I did, you know?
Yeah. I put my shit on my kids. I know that I do,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to do it intentionally because I don't want them. I grew up with no dad,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom had very little control over me. So when I turned actually, man, whenever I turned 15, it wasn't bad. I turned 16, and you get the freedom of a car. I had an aunt that would buy me beer, and I just supplied, all through high school, I supplied the entire high school with booze, and I literally did anything I kind of wanted for the most part. And every drug I could get my hands on, every party, I just did it all. I don't want my kids to do that, so I felt that I should share my stories in that. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I've tapered off a little bit because I'm like, this might be too much.
Yeah.
And but I worry in a lot of ways that I'm too nice to them or too friendly because our time is limited. Now, look, I put a ton of effort. I fly up there every 6 weeks to spend with them. I message them every single day. We FaceTime multiple times, like strategic times throughout the week. They come here for the summer and rotating holidays. So it's like I am in constant communication with them,
Hmm.
and I do everything that I can to see them. And we have our reasons for living apart. It's nothing bad, right? We live where we live, and I think as a result, I lean more towards being their friend. They may not say that because I am way more of a hard ass than their mom, but until shit hits the fan, until something bad happens or one of them, goes off the wall, I do tend to be probably more lenient than I would be, because I don't want their only interaction with them to be me being a hard ass. But maybe that's what they need. I worry about that, man.
Yeah. Mm, I don't know, because I am a hard ass. So it's like
I could
I
see you being a hard ass.
I'm very militant, and I have to tone it down a lot because I get very specific about every little thing. Like, you took this out, put it away. You use this, put it away. Like
I do yell at them for
very
touching the walls all the time. I'm gonna get my white
yes.
walls dirty.
Mhm.
Quit touching my fucking walls.
The handprints all
Oh,
Mari
the
Young,
handprints, man. Yeah.
he'll write all over the damn walls. He's a Picasso, man.
I would probably lose my
And
shit.
then he has this little puppy dog face that he does. I just was just checking it out, just trying it. I was just seeing what it did.
You know
It's
what's been
like,
tearing me up lately, man, is Microsoft sends me a daily email. I'm an Apple guy, but apparently at one point I linked all of my photos to Microsoft Online because Microsoft emails me, here's your memories throughout the years. And it's all those photos that we had together up until 2017.
mm,
And it's beautiful because I get to see my kids. I actually send them the little video every week, every day. But it makes me think about all those I've missed a lot,
yeah,
and I didn't think about that until maybe I didn't want to think about it, so I didn't until maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, and I don't know. I sit here and I think about. I can't wait till they turn 18 and they can live wherever they want, and maybe they'll come live here. Maybe like there's just
mm-hmm,
you're not dealing with the current restrictions. You you currently face. Look, I never wanted to stop being a dad. I didn't want to be married to their mom. And that, when we started that process, I thought it was going to be a lot different. I didn't think we'd be living in different states. I didn't think that we'd go through the things that we went through, and that's not how things went. And so in one way, I was thinking about this the other day, is I want time to speed up because I want my kids near me. And then I will look at these fucking photos and I go, I don't want time to speed up. And even though I'm not with them, there's still all these little moments, and how do I capture those? And now that they're becoming teenagers and trying to remote parent and not know how to be a great parent in real life, maybe I do, but I feel like I don't. It fucking sucks trying to get a fucking 9-year-old to talk to me when we got divorced when he was like 9 months old. I haven't lived with him. He does, and I think we have a good relationship, but trying to get him to get on a phone and talk to me is impossible. And then the teenagers, I'm a little less cool than I used to be. They told me I was cool the other day.
They did?
I mean, I might have pressured them to answer the question, so they may have caved a little bit and told me I was cool. But
that's a dad thing to do right there.
It is a dad thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you're just wanting you're also kind of getting to the point where you're realizing, and very much to the sense of, I can think back, fortunately, like having the father I had, where I switched from not wanting to hang out or this, that, or the other to just wanting to hang out with my dad. And I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying, like, there's efforts being made from you that you never got. That's very evident. And the relationship building is still occurring, and you can't force it. I mean,
but I'm trying to force it.
And that's not a bad thing either. They're your kids, man. They're your kids, and your health and your mind is not what it once was. You're embracing the suck in a lot of ways to make it great. And you want them to be better than you. I think that's what I just want my kids to do better than I did.
What does fatherhood look like for you after, well, really in the last, year? That's how long this journey has been for you, right? A year.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
a little more.
2 years of work, but really the last year, 7 months was diligent.
So let's say we'll split the difference. Let's say the last 9 months. I know that you're working on your temper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being present. But besides that, what else? What have you been focusing on to try to be a bit time?
Time. We've talked a lot about my faith. I've learned a lot reading the Bible every day, and it's kind of hard to put aside a father and a son relationship like that I read about every day, and how all of us have been treated through that. And so I think about the intentionality behind where my efforts are. Like, it used to be, I don't focus so much on work. It's a big part of it. We have to provide, we have to do those things, but
yeah,
I am very intentional now with, like, and I still catch myself where if I'm on my phone answering something or doing something, I'm like, oh, just wait. Hold on. Can you not see I'm doing this? And it's like, whoa, chill out, dude. And I have to say, set my phone down, because my kid's more important. This stuff can go. Like, and I'm still learning that. But I would say time being the most valuable resource, because it is such a finite resource. We can't make more of it. You are given what you're given, and we don't know how much we have in our, in the bank. And I don't want there to be a time where they're wondering the same thing that I have, where it's like, I wish I had more.
Yeah. All those little moments that I miss, maybe I'm trying to cram bigger stuff in there. And at the same time, it's easy to neglect because I spend all day since I don't live with him, so
Mm.
I'm investing my time in work and in other stuff. And in some ways it's harder when I do talk to them because you're trying to think, oh, what did I learn today? What can I pass down? When you try to make it this big thing, and it's the small moments. I think about Gene. It's not these big grand moments that I remember so much of. It's all the little things that just naturally happen throughout the course of your day and your course of life that I remember
Mm.
about him. And I don't have those. Maybe I do have those. There's just not as many. It'd be interesting to get their perspective, but they're kids, so you're not
Well, they
not gonna
never
have a
met Gene,
yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean, what they have with me,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And I forget about that too. Like, so I was saying the other day, because my oldest, well, we have like he knows he got to meet him, but he was 6, 7 months, like he doesn't know who he was, but we talk often about him. Um, and my 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 one son will be praying at night, and our dog Phil, we just had to put down a couple months ago, and my one of my kids will always add in there randomly. He'll be like, "Yeah, and I hope Phil's having fun with Papa Craig," and it's like the most random thought to me, but then
yeah.
it like always makes me chuckle because I'm thinking, yeah, I hope they are. Yeah, like, but the fact that my kid who's never met my dad has a feeling about my dad in a joyful way is
Mm,
pretty cool, and
that's nice.
yeah, it is nice, and that also goes to show how man, that drives me nuts. How we reflect on him, and I think much of the way oh fuck.
For people who maybe are just listening to this, William's
Yeah,
camera automatically moves, and
drives me
so it's
nuts.
shifted up. Can you turn that off?
I can, and then it's like, oh, why? Let me just try it here. Thank you. There we go. We're just gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I mean, I love watching it move, and then it frustrate you. Your pain is bringing
I
me
chase
joy
it
a little
around.
bit. Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so I think a lot of how I act now is very reminiscent of how my dad was. And a lot of times people say, "Oh, you're just like your dad. You're just like your dad." And I used to drive me nuts because I'm like, I'm not my dad. I'm my own person and all this. And it's
yeah.
this like proud thing. And you know, my dad was pretty great, and I'm very fortunate.
What do you do whenever you encounter those new situations as a dad, and your dad has passed as well? I know the answer. Like you're figuring it out because that's what we do. You
Yeah,
make the best decision with the information that you have, and you fucking hope that it's right.
yeah.
Do
I'm
you have?
fortunate. I have some mentors and some
You have?
people.
Yeah. What do you do? Do you have that?
Yeah, I have a couple good network people that I've reached out to. I actually have a couple friends, dads that I've reached out to periodically over the years, like on questions. But in a lot of ways, I just fall and I have to pick myself back up, you know?
I've never asked for help or guidance,
Yeah,
and I
that's
haven't
hard to
thought of.
do.
It's hard to do. These episodes all start to run together. I don't know. We talked about friends. My friend circle, my one friend in Utah, they don't have a kid. And I talk to you more about my life than I do anybody else,
Yeah.
which is why we said this show is not about advice. We don't know what to do. We don't fucking know
No.
what to do. We don't have any answers to any of these questions. We're just talking about the shit that we're going through because you're not alone. So I haven't set that up in my life.
Yeah. What do you do then? I mean, do you just try to
I
overcompensate
muscle I
and make
muscle
up for it?
through it. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I'm fucking Keith Cox. I'm gonna power through this.
Yeah.
I'm having a moment of realization now that I don't ask for help on those things. What's funny is in work, I tell people all the time, If you're not asking for help, I'm concerned. You should be asking for help. No one has all the answers. I asked for a lot of help at work.
Yeah.
I asked for a lot of help working out because I don't really know what I'm doing. But I don't ask for help with being a dad.
I think in some of those senses, though, in those communities, in those circles, I think you don't ask for help, but you hear the help. I think about our calls that we have with our fitness group.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do we reflect on family, that we reflect on? I mean, we
All
just
the
had a
time.
gentleman talk about having a kid that's coming up, and he was asking for advice. And the amount of people that chimed in on fatherly advice and motherly advice it was just constant. And I was one of them. But
I don't know
again,
why. Go ahead. Go ahead.
what do I know? I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still failing. I'm still doing things wrong, I think. But for the most part, I hope I'm doing right.
Maybe it's not about talking about always what you did right, but what you tried and it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
The thought of a group, I've always, I picture sitting in a circle in a
Mm-hmm.
in a fluorescent lit room, drinking coffee out of white styrofoam cups and talking
Yeah.
about being a dad. And I go, I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah.
I just have trouble. Believe this or not, I have trouble opening up about some of my feelings sometimes in that format, like in this big auditorium. That's what I think of whenever I think about
Yeah.
groups, and that's probably not even real. A group could be talking to people one-on-one. You just have a circle that you've built around yourself, like everything else I talk about in life. But the
Do you
dad
have
thing, I don't
people
know.
in your life that have kids that you don't emulate necessarily, but see things that they do, and you're like, man, I could do that?
Let me think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not my age.
Yeah.
Not that live here. Stevie has a ton of friends. Some of them have kids. Very young kids.
Do you have nieces and nephews?
William. Yeah. So I have, man, I've got, yeah. I don't, I don't do a great job of keeping up with family.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Do you want to?
I love the idea of it. I love the idea of it. Whenever you've gone so long without doing something,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of get this sense of why start now?
Yep. 100%.
I did
I was
try.
380 pounds.
I, yeah, I reached out to my sister. She would be a half sister. And Michael is our shared father. I reached out to her a couple of weeks ago because I'm trying to be better about that. And
Good.
I talk a big game about things that we should do. And I do all the shit. I do it. I don't, in my other outside the podcast life, whenever I say, hey, here's some things to be better this week, I go do those things. I'm actively doing them or I'm trying. That doesn't make them easy. It makes them hard. It doesn't make them hard. They are hard. And so I reached out to her and I said, hey, I've been a shitty brother. And I have never, I don't know maybe the last time I saw her in person was, I don't know, 20 years ago. I don't know.
Oh,
And before that was probably 10 years. And
you still had the phone number though.
I have Instagram.
Oh,
I have Instagram. And I just said, hey, I've been really bad. And she replied. And so we're starting to share some memories. That's one.
yeah.
I don't know why I reached out to her first. There's 3 others.
Yeah.
She has a kid. So I'm someone's uncle.
Yeah.
Never met him. Never met him. Couldn't pick him out of a crowd. That's my problem. I don't know. That's me. It's also, I don't, yes, it's me. At the same time, that's kind of, well, dude, the whole family operates that way. You take a,
Yeah.
I can take a look and go, that no one's ever been close.
Hmm.
I hope I don't. And again, to bring this back to being a dad, I go, well, Stevie's family is the total fucking opposite. They
Yeah.
all love each other in a different way. They talk.
That's so cool though
You
that
have
you
these big, they have family reunions. Dude, we have fucking family reunions.
yeah.
And they are all very, very close. And I'm trying to do that for my kids. And I feel like a duck trying to play basketball. Like, like you're like, I don't know if I'm built for this, but I want it, and I'm trying so hard because I don't want for my kids what I've had. And while I appreciate the parenting that I got, and it's made me who I am, I wish I had that family thing. I don't know how to do it well. I feel awkward.
Yeah. I I mean that is awkward. Period. Because it's very much like with you learning to do that is because you never really had an example.
No.
And so what are you going off of? What movies? Uh
Yeah.
the few people in your life, but you also have a great example in Stevie. So, you know, I would
They
use
just
that.
talk so much, William. They have so many words, and I don't.
I think you'd be surprised. I think you have a lot to offer. I think in much of what I have said is where my dad was really hard, which I emulate so many times now. I also know that that's kind of shaped how I'm so kind and compassionate and with a lot of what I do and recognizing, especially now with the last 9 months where I just, you know, man, you have to fail. Just as much as I tell my kids to fall down, like they've got to learn, like, how do you think you do that? How do you do that? It's like, I'm doing the same thing every day. Like, we have business, we have relationships with our wives and our kids and the community and our families and those that are just really close to us, and continuously building on all that gets difficult, and it gets to be a lot as not just a father but as a man. There's a lot of standards and norms that are set, and at the same time we're still learning life too. Like we don't
Yep.
have to mold our children when we're still trying to mold ourselves. I think that's part of the process, though. I mean, that's parenthood.
I feel like you worry a little bit less than I do about fucking it all up.
That's because I fucked it up for 8 years straight. I can't do worse than I did. I don't think I can. And that's only because I've learned a lot in that short time of major failure in my eyes that I don't know. I just want my kids to be successful. And I also want them to stay in my house for as long as possible. But then I also want them to grow up and get out of my house at the same time. I want them to be self-sufficient and able to do things and not afraid to try things, not afraid to fail and not afraid to make mistakes. And I think much of because I've made too many, and you said that, you don't want them to do the same things and you're kind of hard on them. And that's 100% me. Like, and that's how my dad was.
Hey, when your kids were born, did you instantly love them? Like,
Yeah. I loved them the
moment?
minute they were in my wife. The minute that I knew she was pregnant, all three times.
Yeah.
As much as I failed for 8 years, I think that the one thing I was meant to do was be a dad. I love being
I,
a dad.
I loved them
Mhm.
because they're my kids, but I didn't, each time one of them was born, I did not feel this overwhelming sense that second of everything that I was told I would feel. It didn't feel that way. It felt like, I love you. I'm going to protect you. You are a stranger in my house. And within a couple weeks, like that all went away, you know,
Yeah.
but maybe it's not love. Like I said, I loved them. They're my kids.
Yeah.
It just felt different than everyone told me it was going to feel.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that.
That makes me think about like when with our first, well, all three of them really, but the first, we'd never done it. I don't know what the feeling was for you, but walking out of that hospital, we signed the papers, and then I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, okay, what else we gotta do? And they're like, okay, well, whenever you're ready to go. I'm like, do we have to like let someone know? And they're like, nope. Like, you guys have a vehicle and everything? I said, yep.
Felt illegal.
I felt illegal. I'm like, like, you're just gonna let me leave with this human? Like, this feels weird.
Dude, check this out. Two of my kids born in the US, one born in Australia. The two born in the US, the first, we were in the hospital for 3 days. The second, maybe 2 days, maybe 3, but I think it was 2. Australia, from the time he was born to the time we were walking out, 4 hours. You're stable.
Let's go.
You
Get them out.
leave. And that was it. They're like, you can leave whenever you want. There was no signing anything. Child born,
Let's go.
cleaned up, you're stable. It forced us out, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And we left and we went home and just woke. We were gone from home maybe 6 hours. That felt illegal.
You almost got to think that that's like how it should be in a way.
Yeah, it's like if nothing goes wrong, and everything's
Yeah.
smooth. Yeah, you don't need to be here.
No, we're just here to make sure it all goes well, and then be on your way.
Yeah, it
You
was
decided
wild.
to have a kid. Here you go.
I too do love being a dad. I'm kind of regretting telling the story of how I felt when they were born. I don't want that to discount how I feel as a dad. It just didn't feel like I thought I was going to feel, or it didn't feel like I was told I would feel. I also don't like being told how to feel.
Yeah. I think though there's times throughout it where I'm like questioning not how I feel, but like, especially when they were younger, where it's like when our first amazing, love him. But like there's definitely times where it's like, your whole life changes. You can't go do what you used to do. Or you just have to adjust. And I also realized, much like during my health journey, how much none of that mattered anymore. Like, I'm now raising a child, and my wife and I are learning how to grow up together in another sense. And it's our first time doing it. It's hard.
There's definitely stages of this whole thing, and I can feel the stage of I have hopes and dreams for my kids, and they're getting to the point where they're going to start developing their own hopes and dreams. My oldest is a sophomore in high school. I feel it coming.
Yeah.
And they're starting to have relationships, and there's going to be heartbreak, and I feel that stage coming.
Yeah.
What stage are you in? Let's see. Your kids are. Your oldest is 8.
6, 4. Yeah.
Yep, 8. Dude,
To the stage where they're saying
some
stupid stuff.
They probably still think that you're super cool, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely cool.
You're not
absolutely.
that cool.
They want me to play
it's gonna
games
be a big
all the
disappointment
time.
for them.
My kid said to me, we were having dinner last night, and I don't remember who brought it up. It was my wife or my kids, and we were talking about having a chill bone, like, being relaxed.
Oh.
Yeah, being a relaxed person. And my oldest goes, Dad, you don't have a chill bone. And I'm like, okay, dude. I'm like, you calm down. And
Wait till go ahead.
No, and then he said something along the lines of, he goes, well, you kind of have a chill bone, but then you have an exotic bone. Like, because you get, hey, put that away. Hey, do this. Hey, and I'm like, whoa, dude. And I just look at my wife, and we're both trying not to laugh because I'm like, he's spot on.
Wait till they get a little older and realize that chill bone is not cool.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's just and they're all so different. And I think I try to peg them all the same, and parent them all the same. And I can't. I cannot parent them all the same. They're all drastically different. And I'm sure that's the same for you, where it's like you can't have the same conversation with one going to the next.
I try.
Yeah, exactly. And you're one person and they're 3. And that's been really difficult, I would say, in navigation of discipline, of teaching anything. It's like I can't talk to this one the way I talk to this one. And then I also realize where I'll subtly, without effort, pin them against each other by saying, "Oh, he did this really well, and you need to do what your brother does." And it's like, "Oh boy, why
Oh,
am I doing that?"
can't do that.
No,
Well, you
no.
can. You
Yeah, it
can do
doesn't go
that, but
well. Then I start making
no.
this one feel terrible because he's not adequate, and that is not it. That's and
Yeah.
I my dad did that. Not with again, not by trying to do it, but there was always times where that definitely occurred.
My youngest is a boy, two oldest are a girl or girls, and their little brother just drives them crazy. And he harasses them. The oldest picks on him, and the current thing that comes out of my mouth is, "You're 15 years old and he's 9. Why be the bigger person? What are
Yeah.
you doing here?" But
Again, they're still kids.
they're kids.
It's so
They're
hard.
kids. I remember myself as 15, and I'm like, I was basically a 30-year-old man when I was 15.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. But I like to remember myself that way.
I mean, you were supplying some things that made you a 30-year-old man.
That is true. That is true. I did do some
Uh,
things you could go to jail for. Which is equally terrifying because you go, holy crap, things have changed so much, and it just that's why I'm like, I need to share these stories with my kids because I think
can I ask you a
consequences are
personal
different.
story then on that?
Yeah.
Have you shared with them the song that you shared with me about
So,
the when you would be really drunk and
no, nope.
yeah.
I have not shared that song. I have not gone into my thoughts on death and
Yeah.
feeling like I was going to die young. So what I've told my kids is I've told them, maybe I don't go into super detail, but I
Yep.
talk about, I'm open with, hey, I'm trying to figure this out and I want to be the best dad for you. And my dad wasn't around, and I'm trying to figure this out. And here's what I'm doing. And so if I come off a little obnoxious, here's why. So I've been very upfront about that. I've told them about uh I've talked a lot about drinking,
Yeah.
and why I don't do it anymore,
That's good.
and how some people can do it. Just because I can't doesn't mean other people can't.
Yep.
But here's the slippery slope that comes from those things. I have not told them about
'Cause
doing
that's pretty
like,
deep rooted.
yeah, I haven't talked about like doing hard drugs in the closet of a bedroom,
Yeah.
but I've been upfront about drug use without naming the variety of drugs, but I've talked about doing drugs,
Yeah.
in how I've had a handful of friends die from doing drugs.
Hmm.
And, so like the dangers of that, and people are going to offer you this, and here's what can
Yeah.
happen without trying to sound like a 1980s drug commercial. So I've been upfront
Like the
with
Dare
this.
Dog.
Yeah. Which I think of the dad who comes in and, where did you learn how to do this? And he's like, from you. Like
Yeah.
there's that one. And then there's the fried eggs. Here's your brain on drugs.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
Fried
Yeah. That could
eggs.
be the 10 years I've got on you. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad talked about alcohol heavily.
Did he?
Yeah, because like I said, he was an alcoholic. He considered himself an alcoholic. He couldn't be around. He could be around it. He could. Many of his friends partook, and he had no issue, and they knew where he stood. So then it was never like a peer pressure of any sort. My dad was always great at having a good time without having to need substance to have a good time, um, and that was a big emphasis. And he did, I remember there was one time we were cleaning out a storage garage and we were going through, he is not a hoarder, but he was a memory collector of the most random stuff. And there was one instance where we were we were clearing out this old storage garage, and there was old letters and stuff, and he had some from when he was in juvenile rehab, I think it was, and
Oh,
he
he went
talked
to
about
rehab. Like
juvenile, yeah, rehab, and then at 17 went into adult treatment facility
okay.
at 17 with, like, 40 and 50-year-old people that are having substance abuse. And I've got both of his books from those two stints, and one of them was pretty cool because a lot of the people that were there with him, these adults with the 17-year-old, wrote in his book that he had there. And it's cool, I've read through a lot of them, and it's interesting. At 17 years old, much of who he was, to what I know, is exactly who he was at 17. Very outgoing, very charismatic, very caring about people, very community based. Oh man, yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah. I,
I was very fortunate, and so, like, I think there's some weight in wanting to be that standard.
yeah.
And I didn't live it for a while. And so I think when I push a lot of what I talk about, the discipline, the mindset, the standard, that's not just the community that I'm around, but that was what I was fortunate to
It's
grow
fair.
up with.
Yeah.
And
I love how much you love your dad. And man, I hope, like, my goal is just for my kids to feel that way about me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
thank you
just
for
being present.
thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've got, like, videos because my dad sang a lot. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and like, I got videos that are of him singing. My boys when they were all babies. Um, some nights where my my wife would be just exhausted, and I would get up and rock them a little bit. And I don't know if it's because I wasn't able to feed them myself other than with the bottle, and so they felt a little different towards me. You hear things like that where when they're with mom, they just know that, oh, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat, that kind of stuff. But I was always the one that would rock them back to sleep and get them back to sleep. And there's two different songs one for sure that I had of my dad, and then one that my dad would always sing, which is "Give Me Jesus." And I mean, it was just cool being able to parent with my dad, parenting in a way with me. And it was like one of the songs that I would play often. I have saved on my phone that I frequently pull up. Um, and man, I don't realize how much I did that until I'm thinking about it now. Um, but especially, I would play one song and it would, like, stop him from crying almost immediately. It was really cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Man, I could talk about my dad all day long, and then I feel guilty in a way. When I was 15 years old, I was getting my permit, and this is where my dad was a hard ass. Um, I failed my written test, and
Yeah.
we were going camping, one of my sisters and my dad and I. And on the way, I took the test, and I failed it on the way. Didn't study. I maybe read a couple pages out of the book, and the way my dad just dug into me on things was intense. And it was a fishing camping trip, and I didn't get to fish until I read the whole manual again and went through. And so, like, they're both fishing, and I had to sit on the boat and read through this dang manual in front of him to prove that I was doing the work. And I'll tell you what, I think I got one wrong the next time I took it.
That story makes me think about whenever Gene taught me how to drive. We were in Central Illinois. I was 13, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go for a ride." Okay, cool. We'll go for a ride. And we drive to the edge of town. He pulls up to a 2-lane highway. Not super busy, but it's a highway. He's like, "Okay, get out," and makes me sit there. I'd never driven stick shift. I was 13, and I learned how to drive on a
There we
highway.
go.
Yeah, yeah. Dumped the clutch, did a burnout. I mean, much of a burnout as a Ford Ranger is going to do. And it was terrifying. But
Yeah.
I love that memory. And that's Gee, that's what I'm trying. I'm just trying to recreate all that shit. Maybe that's what we do. Do you think we go, these are my favorite memories of
Mm.
my dad, and I need to recreate those with my kid? I think that might be what I'm doing, and
I think I'm trying to do it sooner. I very much, and
yeah.
I don't know if it's because there's a timeline in the back of my mind of
Nah, I
52,
think we
but
both have a timeline. Yeah.
it's like I want to like why wait? Like I'm still
Yeah.
young, I'm still able to do things. I'm now in physical shape where I've never been in. And my wife and I talked about this just recently. Like, you know what? Instead of sitting around and just slaving away, like, still do the work. You have to do the work to enjoy everything else. Like, there's no point in, I mean, not no point, but very much does the work. I want the reward side. I want to take my kids and give them experiences, and because soon they're not going to be in my house,
Yeah.
and I don't want other people to influence them unlike I can. And whether that's me doing it over the phone or doing it in person, or whatever that looks like, I want to be the I want to have them be 20, 7, 28 years old saying, "Oh, what would my dad do?"
Yep. In my mind, like I said earlier, I have this vision that they're going to graduate high school and suddenly they're going to be around me more.
Mm.
And I know that's not true, but it's this thing I've built up in my mind.
Yeah.
I
I
hope
think
it
you're being
happens.
intentional, it seems, and I think that's all we
Yeah.
have to do is just be intentional with being a father. Like
Yeah.
they are chemically I mean, they are your child, and nobody else can be their father. I mean, as much as you can have influences and all that, like we talked about yourself, like
No one replaces your dad.
no one
Better or
replaces
worse.
your
Yeah.
dad. I mean, I can get biblical, but I mean, that person for me was someone who was meant to raise me and teach me a life.
Yeah.
And especially as a man, like the minute I had a son, I was like, I grew up in a house of girls, and I don't know what I will say. There was a weight with that. The minute I was born, I was like, oh shoot, like I actually have to raise a son. And it was almost like a nervous feeling. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but it was. And then I had two more sons. It's like, what the
Yeah.
heck? Uh,
I think that you summed it up for me of being a dad is being present and having some intent. I
yeah,
like that. And we could talk for hours. I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Being present and
absolutely.
have some intent. All right. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you're going through this, you're not alone. Get out there, kick ass this week. We'll see you next time.